Okay, we're on, I think. Are you sure it's on?
It's on.
Okay.
You're on, dear.
Well, we want to get this recorded. We've had quite a night already. I mean, we have gone places we've never been before, so it's been awesome worship, awesome ministry times. Woohoo! All I can say is, Shaka! Time for Shaka and all. Okay, last time I did a teaching on pioneering the realm of time, part 1. This is going to be part 2. So you just need to go back and watch the first one to get it in sequence. Time is often referred to as the 4th dimension. You've heard that, right? So how do you spell time? Now this is a trick question, so don't anybody try to answer it. No, you can spell time for me. How do you spell it?
T-I-M-E.
Okay. God spoke to me and said that in my case, Father spells it T-I-M plus E. I thought, that's interesting. So I asked, what is that? He said, Tim plus energy equals time change. Now, when I say energy, then he gave me, it's energy, but it's lightning energy. Got it? After the testimony. Okay, earlier. So he said 10 plus lightning energy equals time change. He told me, Tim, it's time to match the time. So I said, okay, Lord, you in charge. He said, Tim is an energy force. 10 plus energy equals time change force. The man is the gift of Father's glory. See, there's a difference between Holy Spirit giftings, okay, and the Father's gift from the glory. It's two different things. The gift of the Father was put in you in heaven in the form of a stone or a seed. Think about that a minute. Stone or a seed. Lucifer walked on the stones of fire. That's a whole nother teaching. But there is a place where it says Lucifer walked on the stones of fire. Now I'm going to give you a real short one. The stones of fire became stones of fire. They were just stones, but they became stones of fire because the Father himself walked on them, and he is a consuming fire, so he lit the fires of the stones on fire. Then he sat down, and he told Lucifer to go get him a such and such number, great big long number. And he says, is there any volunteers from heaven to go down to earth to be born? And somebody hollers out, yes, me. And so he said, okay, Lucifer, go get me number 6732987455339. And so he said, okay. And he goes, finds it, brings it back to the Father. So the Father has the stone in one hand. He reaches in his chest, brings out the spirit of this person that's going to be born, slaps them together, throws them down into the womb of the mother, and tells the mother to name the child. What's the stone? It's the gift of the Father. When he put them together, they became one in heaven. But when you got born, the adversary in the world system started corrupting that. And so it got intertwined and polluted and diluted, so it wasn't pure anymore. And so the Lord has to come to a place where he brings us to, now we can have epiphanies along the way, but there's a time and a place where he commissions us. When he commissions us, that's when he takes that energy, lightning, and goes in and blows the stone apart into powder and disperses it into every RNA, DNA, proton, neutron, electron, everything in you to where they're non-distinguishable except that they both are the same thing. The man is the gift is a man. Okay? So with that said, that's when you start operating in the fullness of your call. It doesn't mean you still won't keep learning, but you're operating at this point, and then there's more things of revelation that comes that brings you into advancement of the same call. Okay? So it's real interesting how that works. But the parents name the child, but the father is the one that gives the name to the parents, even though the parents don't realize it. So, the man is a gift of the glory of God. We'll talk about Lucifer walked on the stones of fire. Okay, time is like a fabric of elasticity. Elastic. Time is a fabric that is elastic. Okay, you got a piece of elastic and stretch it. And then when you don't have any force pulling, then it goes back to, in other words, it's the words I want to use, I could use several words, but contrast and expand. Contrast and expand. Okay? Think about that. That's what fabric does, right? Now, it's kind of hard to teach on time without teaching about space, but we're going to try to limit it to time right now, and then I'll teach on space later, and you'll see how they work together. We're at this critical time and juncture of history that man, where we had to learn to govern time in this intersection of technology and explosion of knowledge. Technology and explosion of knowledge with the spirit of Daniel and the wisdom of the ages is being released to make us relevant to this generation. That is a long mouthful, but you know what I'm saying? You got it. So time is shaped kind of like you take a drinking glass and turn it on its side. Time did start, and time will end. But we're somewhere in here. And here's the end. We're pretty close to the end, actually. So, you know what I mean? But it's not a flat line. The very other end of it is the age to come. That's about where we're at. We're about to the age to come. At the less has been given time, okay? Then we come out of time, and then we go back into eternity. We're near the end of time, and time is in slices and segments. Slices or segments. Okay. Let me go on first, and then I'll drop it. It makes sense. Time and space actually can't be separated. You know, they're married together, hand in hand. They're connected, and they are a grid. They're partners. What's a grid? Newton said they were static and they couldn't be changed because they are constants. Well, we're at a stage and moving at the same speed together on a river called time throughout the cosmos. That's what he said. That isn't correct. That's wrong. Time isn't a stage, and it is an active thing that bends around us. Time only exists at a certain speed for relative to you. Many people can be in the same room traveling at a different speed in the same time. Why do you not physically see the angels very often? Because they're traveling awful fast. But when they slow down, a lot of times in pictures you'll see the round orb before they actually slow down enough that we can actually see them in their form. That makes sense now? So, time and space are not plane geometry. I draw a line across here. That's plane geometry. They're more like solid geometry with 3 dimensions, right? Well, we're talking about a 4th dimension. Interesting. So you've got this cup, and it's going forward. That's time moving forward. But it's moving forward also in space. That's why it's around. So if you take and you draw lines this way across the glass, that's time going out. And you can draw lines this way, that's space. So it makes a geometric, okay? They're relative. So what slice of time and space are you in? Like what?
The the world is round.
Yes. But this is elongated because it's ongoing time. Yeah. See what I'm saying? So anyway, it's, you know, we're Einstein discovered that time and space only exist for you. Think about that a minute. Time is relative to each person. You can't all be in a different time in the same room. That's hard to, our brains have a hard time with that. I can be in now this is a word that's interesting because I used to say this and somebody kind of get upset with me. I can be in fruit producing time, in other words being ripe, fruit producing time, while you could be in poor time, sweating and producing by the anointing only. Now you get it. Only poverty and lack and sickness is produced by the anointing realm. You have to work at it. You can get past some of it, but you still have to work hard. Because I would rather be in the glory, watching, sweat-free, the Father manifesting endless finances and land and health by His power and the lightning and thunders. I'm going to pause right there. I had a 3-second dream the other night. I told you about it. Here I am writing on my little table right here, writing, and I had a whole stack of my tablets full of stuff. I mean, stacks, actually. And I'm writing, and they're all, it was like a desk here, but I was here. It was like a desk, and I had like 3 of these piles, great big tall stacks of them. And then I'm over on this side of it writing more. And I'm writing away, and all of a sudden, I look over, and I see this humongous black widow spider crawling across the top of all them pads, coming across the first one, coming across the second one, coming across the third one. And it's like ready to reach out and hit my hand while I'm writing, and I didn't see a thing. Boom! That's what I did. I jumped.
She really jumped.
That's what happened. No, that's what happened to me, though. It happened to me. And I didn't see nothing. And I heard it, the thunder. The thunder. And I looked over, and that spider was smashing. Its guts was coming out. Because the force that came on it was more powerful than its skeletal ability to withstand it. And the Lord said, just letting you know, I'm protecting you like I said I would. And that all happened in like 3 seconds in the dream. I thought, wow, that's cool stuff. That's why that could have been, if I wasn't sold out to the Lord, that could have been an accident that killed me. That's why it says in Psalms 91, the arrows that's by day, accidents that happen. With God, there is no accident. There's no chance. So there's that one teaching about the stones I'm going to do, and there's another teaching he just gave me about that right there. What's the difference between a prophet of God and a psychic? We do know some things, but he said one main thing is a prophet foretells what the future is going to bring. You're foretelling. Before it happens, you're telling what's going to happen. A psychic doesn't use their spirit like a prophet does. They use their soul. And so therefore, they give a great big long dissertation of predictions. And if one comes true, then the people swallow it as all is true, and there's only one of them is true. Then all of it does happen. Interesting. See, they predict, they don't foretell, because they can't. But eventually, if they do enough predicting, one of all the things they say has happened, and then they think everything's going to happen because they want
Did
to.
you give them permission to come?
Well, that's what happens. You swallow, you're giving them permission by believing the one. So therefore, if the one was true, then they have to believe all the rest are.
Yeah.
See how? Anyway, pretty good. That's another teaching. See, all these teachings I've got to So I'm gonna have to start up a men's group here, huh? So, anyway, what was I? I'm trying, guys. That thunderings. That's what brought me to that 3-second dream. The thunderings. So, I can change time by releasing my Holy Trinity stored energy. That's what he told me. Heat is energy, right? Heat expands. More heat expands more. Does that make sense? Less heat contracts. Remember we said the fabric, heat, contract, elastic? He said, not just me, but I'm just using me because this is how he talked to me. He said that I am a catalyst to change time from natural to supernatural by releasing more or less heat energy. Makes sense. Even in science, in the natural it makes sense. Get this. So time is like a web or a net. That's why I like that when I said with the lines. It's a net. Remember the fish net?
I was gonna say that, weird that you
Remember
said
that? That's what I said. See how he does me? Brings it back to okay. It's a thing you can change and manipulate like a car to serve you, but not to govern you. Remember my prophetic word 40-some years ago? I was walking down aisle 13 in Martinsville at Kroger store, going towards the deli, and he said, "Son, time has always worked against you, but in the future, when I finish giving you the revelations and the teaching and maturity that you need," he said, "I'm going to allow you to make time work for you." That's a long, long, long time ago. So, like a car, that's to serve you, but not to govern you. I mean, you manipulate a car so that it will serve you, but not to govern you. So you control its shape and its speed. It's an actual substance, like faith, and you can use it like currency. So time is money. Makes sense. Ephesians says, "Redeem the time, for the days are evil." Interesting. Days are evil. Outside of Eden and eternity time. Now hear me right when I say this, okay? You gotta understand me. In eternity, there is no time. But I want to use a different phrase. Outside of, okay, the days are evil. Outside of Eden, the days are evil. And I used it, I said, eternity, Eden, and time, it is corrupted, and its frequency and its wave pattern are corrupted, and now we have come into solar time, which is time as we know it. Solar, on the outside of eternity. I mean, sun, stars, moon, all that's solar time. Well, it's still time. But if you're on the moon, does gravity pull as hard as it does on the earth? But it's still time. See what I'm saying? Time is still 24 hours a day on the moon as it is 24 hours a day on the earth. But gravity's changed. But time didn't. Isn't that interesting? You see what I'm saying? Some laws change, some don't. You have to supersede a natural law to have it to become supernatural by a supernatural law that's higher than a natural law. You see what I'm saying? So I'm using this phrase, and I want to change it a minute. We need and want Eden time. Hang on. Which is eternity in glory. Now I said Eden time. Now hang on to that. And he woke me up again in the middle of the night, and he told me about this. I wrote this a few days ago. And he woke me up and told me, he said, "You got to go back and correct something." I said, he said, "You put down Eden time." He said, "You got to change that. You have to change it to Eden events."
And then I leave party and he calls me.
He woke me up and told me that. I thought, man. So, and I hadn't done it yet, so I'm going to do it right now.
Sorry, repeat that.
Eden events, which is eternity in glory. In glory there is no toil or sweat or of the brow, and it yielded its fruit effortlessly with pleasure and quickly. Boy, you can't ask for better than that, huh? Actually, instantly. Let it be on earth as it is in heaven, right? So what we gotta do is bring supernatural from heaven down to earth. So we had to bring a supernatural law that's higher than the natural law that's on earth about time.
Landon and Adrian.
Time serves you, and you elongate or you shorten time. So I told you how, by heating it, or not as much or more. Time serves you, or it's elongated or shortened, so that you or anything is never late or out of sync. That's good.
God's
That right there is
Yeah.
good.
God's
Yeah.
timing.
That's good stuff. More heat expands time. And I've got to put this word in here because if I say it, I'm not going to know what I'm talking about. Okay, more heat expands time. Now this is what's confusing to people. They think if you heat it up, you're going to make what? Time come to you quicker. No. More heat expands time, so if it's expanded, it slows time down. We think of the other reverse.
It's true.
Now, okay, let me keep going. Less heat contracts time and speeds it up, speeds time up. So if you needed to get to the future quicker, would you heat up time or would you contract time?
Contract.
Exactly, but we wouldn't have normally thought like that.
That's right.
Or you can think of it this way, less heat to contract time or to bring the future to the now. Isn't that what we want? See what I'm saying? If we're where we're supposed to be in the Lord, we want time to come to us, not pushed out further.
Right.
Because the problem is, man, which is in the first lesson, we only have so much time in our lifespan. So here's another secret. Oh, hang on to that. Oh, you're going to love that one. Hang on. So now, how do we release heat energy to change time to work for us, not against us? Glad you asked. I believe there are several God ways, okay? But for today's teaching, I'm going to show you what Father showed is the way He wants me to change time for the now, at least. I believe I'm going to learn more ways later, but this is the one He's showing me now, which is what I just did, by the way, with God. He told me to enter into the glory realm zone, and then, as and when He directs, I am to speak the exact lightning frequency. Did you get it?
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Into a person, place, or a thing, but only as the Father gives permission to release it into that particular atmosphere. Now, up here I was saying about time, we only have so much time in our lifespan. Even if you go out to 120 years, it's still, you know what I'm saying? There's so much more to learn and to pioneer and to get revelation and understanding and all that. Now, I know, you know, our children and their children, they'll pick up where we left off. I know that. But, He said, if you got all this under your belt already, is there some way, I'm talking to the Lord about this, I'm saying all this, is there some way that I can not come to 120 years and die?
Good question.
Well, in a sense you're not, but anyway, but the physical body, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Unless you're going to be Mrs. Enoch. But anyway, okay.
Instead of John.
The interesting thing about Enoch is he had his rapture then.
Yeah.
That's what really amounts to, if you think about it. His body was changed
Yeah.
to a spiritual body instantly. Okay, anyway, that was all free. So, I kept asking more questions about this. Remember, John prophesied to me 2 or 3 different times about master. No, he didn't say master, but that's what the Lord told me to call it. That I was going to master time, and that I was like Father Time. Remember that? I said, okay, Lord. So what is all this? He said, I already told you and gave you the clues, you just haven't got them put together yet. All those prophetic things I've told you in the past. Remember I told you, you're going to write, you and Cindy's going to go to heaven, and Jesus is going to give you a tour of all the levels of heaven, and then you're going to come back, and he's going to write a book together, co-author a book about heaven, and then you're going to take the whole small group, and I was going to give you permission to bring them all up here. He said, then after you come back, he said, then I was going to have you write another book, just you, and you was going to title it, Return to Eden, Back to the Future. Light bulbs still coming on. Oh my gosh. Now, remember what I said to you a minute ago about Eden time?
Eden events.
Eden events, thank you. There is no time, but different things happened at sequential events. They go by events, you know what I'm saying? Sorry about that. Get away from my little place. You see, one of these days we're going to have a cameraman. I don't have to worry about that stuff. But you see what I'm saying? He said, return to Eden. Well, while I'm going back,
Lord said one of these events you'll have, not one of these days. Never mind.
Okay.
It's not.
good, I got it,
Yeah.
I got it. So, but the point was return to Eden, but I have to return to the right place. If I go back to Eden, where
Yeah.
God was and man wasn't created, that don't do no good.
Right.
Or if I come back to Eden and Adam and Eve done fell and he's getting ready to kick them out, that's no good.
That's right.
He said, go back to a certain event. I don't want to use the word time. Just this event that happened. There was another event, another event. So in a sense, you could call it Eden time. You know what I'm saying? Chronologically, this happened, then this, then this. But it's not really time. So I could call it Eden eternity event. Anyway, you get the picture what I'm trying to say to you. So it's like this happened, and this happened, this. So you go back to the point where Adam and Eve walked in the cool of the day with the Father. And everything was gorgeous, and they were tending the garden, and blah, blah, blah. Okay? That's the point in the event time, the event in eternity that you want to go to. That's what he told me. So I go back through, but now when I'm going back, I'm erasing everything of my genealogy back to there. Okay? That's good.
Yes, it is.
But why, that's worth it right there. But there's a both and. Okay,
There
you
you
get the
go.
both of best
Yes.
of both worlds. Not only do you get rid of the generational stuff and you go to the right point, then what happens? He said, then, I'm telling you a lot about what's going on in the book, by the way. Then, you go from that time, excuse me, it's hard to change your speaking, that event in eternity with the Father, and then what you do is you return to the future where you started when you went.
Right.
Okay? The reason why you go from that point is you escape the Adamic nature. Well, when you escape the Adamic nature, you escape age. Well, how do you age? Your body reproduces every 7 years, every cell in your
Yes.
body. And every year,
True.
your cells are reproduced. When your cells reproduced, it's reproduced with the flaw of the Adamic nature, and it's sin. So you age.
Yes.
Age is actually just sin reproduced many times. That's right there is worth the book. See what I'm saying? So you literally go back to the future without the Adamic nature in you. Okay? So now you get into the glory and you start reversing. You get younger and younger.
Awesome. Let's go.
Now I'm not going to go back to a baby again, but anyway, you get so far
Let's
and,
go.
he says that's good. And he'll take you back to about 25 years old.
Awesome.
That's what he told me.
Yay.
Awesome. I'm ready.
Now think about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now all this,
25 seemed more real just that moment
Yes.
there, that event.
But
That
see,
event, there you go.
you got rid of all your generational stuff, and your kids
Yes.
ain't gonna have to go through any of that garbage.
Awesome.
You got rid of all that generational stuff, and then you come back and you skip the Adamic nature. And then you get into glory and you get younger.
So if you don't,
Best of all worlds.
if you don't have the
Yes.
Adamic nature, then you don't have sense.
That's the point.
That's the point.
That is the point.
Mm-hmm.
We did have to, by the way, you couldn't do this until you had come to a certain point in your life. By the way, you couldn't even go back. Because you had to go through the Adamic nature to realize the fight of Romans chapter 7 to get to Romans chapter 8, which is what I'm talking about. But the Romans chapter 8 happens in some areas, your spirit and your soul specifically, but not in their bodies. It should,
Right.
and we're on the process
Right.
of trying to get there,
Right.
but this would be quick, is what I'm saying. Now, we can get on a healthy regimen of right foods and all that stuff, but it's been so hard in our lifetime, we didn't have much options. Everything you ate was blech,
We were talking about that today.
deadly. I mean, you know what I'm saying, by degrees, it was all,
Yeah.
everything you ate. They didn't make anything. Now,
That's
if you
right.
could have got some good non-GMOs, seeds, and, you know, but then you still had the junk in the earth that they polluted with it, so, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But now, whew, then we're going to, what we're going to do then? We're going to bring healing,
Yes.
deliverance, restoration to man, but simultaneously to the earth.
Awesome.
For a period of time,
Mm-hmm.
and then, when we all leave, this thing's going to
Yeah.
quick. I mean, it'll go bad quick. Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's the point, that time frame we're in from now till that is called the real. See, it's not the end times or the perilous times.
Right.
It's the end times, it's not the perilous times. The perilous times is when everything's, you know, Holy Spirit's gone and everything's going to hell in a handbasket. But the next few decades, that's why I'm going to live longer than, okay? A lot longer, because I want to be able to bring in the harvest.
Yes.
And then, when I see the garbage is starting to come back, the one world government and all that stuff starting to come back, I'm just going to go in there on my bed and lay, all right, I'm ready to come up for my last time. I'm not just visiting. This time I'm going to stay. Change my address, go to sleep, and go on up.
There you go.
Woo!
That must
Didn't know I
have
was
been
going to
what I
say
seen.
this. Huh?
That must have been what I seen.
What?
That's why I told the kids I wasn't gonna die,
Okay. Well, there you go.
because,
In that sense of,
yeah.
wow,
Wow.
I'm telling you, this is some good stuff. And that's just part 2. I know this thing's going to go on, man, and on. But in a nutshell, in 2 sessions, you can get to see and understand some of the revelation that you can see how it is now. Now, the details is more in getting your stone, getting it exploded, and being able to get the blue lightning frequency out into others.
Yes.
See what I'm saying? So,
Alrighty.
we've been all our life getting to this point.
Should be
Yeah.
to light.
You ready?
Yeah.
She's ready. I can't until you get your tongue. No, I'm serious. Because you would end up,
I am an individual.
that's true, but you're not complete without him. But you are an individual. But I don't want to say I can't. I can't until he tells me I can. Meaning,
Yeah.
I really see you have a ministry already, but you can't go into the ministry that you two are going to go together and do. That's why I'm saying I don't want to do that until you guys are together. And he says I can do it because it would open you up to too much vulnerability without him already there. Does that make sense?
It does to me.
Now you could function in your part only, but I don't know if you're capable of doing that, knowing he's coming. Does that make sense? I don't know, but I can't do it until he tells me I can. I
Right.
can't do it tonight. I can do that.
Right.
Although I'd love to, but I mean, I just know there's a right, perfect timing for these things, and It just happened to be John's time the other night. 'Cause I didn't know I was going to do that. I had no clue at all. I mean, man, I tell you what, it's just like when it takes off. Some people say, "Well, Jesus loves you, and peace be with you." And over here, I prophesy I have a storm that's way out in the, and they think, "Well, how come?" Because it's got to do with where they're at in their journey and their process. You know what I'm saying? But you guys have been getting some good words. You don't understand me, but boy, and I'm gonna tell you, I can do this right now. The moment you two, okay, get to the place. Oh, wait, I gotta separate you first.
Okay.
The moment you guys get married, he's already gonna be ready. You're all gonna be ready. You're still going to start your ministry. Okay? You're going to start it, but it's going to grow as you go. You got blue eyes and he's going brown. Yours is not too light.
Yeah.
Go this way.